Given f prime of x equals e to the x plus sine of x, and f of 0 equals 0, find f of x. Okay, so this is a integration problem. And it's an integration problem because we're given a derivative and we're asked to find what the original equation is. So we're going to integrate the derivative, or use the antiderivative, or find the primitive, if you will, to f prime of x. And so to do that, we'll start by, I'll write f prime of x equals e to the x plus sine of x. Just rewriting the problem. Some people out there are a little bit smarter than I am, a little bit more elite, don't have to rewrite the problem. That's okay. I'm not offended. You guys can just skip straight ahead. So the integral of e to the x will just be e to the x. The integral of sine of x, so the derivative of sine of x equals positive cosine of x. And so if we have negative cosine of x derivative, that would give us positive sine of x, because we have a negative, negative, a double negative, if you will. So going the opposite direction, the integral, take the integral of both sides. So we'd have the integral of the derivative of negative cosine of x equals integral sine of x. And there's probably a dx over here as well. And the idea is these kind of cancel, and you get a negative cosine of x. Long story short, if you can memorize that the integral of sine of x is negative cosine of x, and the derivative of sine of x is the positive cosine of x, you're a better person than I am. I kind of have to work through that every single time. My memory is on par with that of a goldfish. So I try and work out everything in as much detail as I can, just because I am so prone to error. Every single human performance trap out there, I will fall into it. Okay, so we have this, and there's a plus c, some sort of constant. And we're then given that f of 0 equals 0. So if I do have e to the 0 minus cosine of 0 plus c equals 0. So we know what e to 0 is. That's 1. Cosine of 0 is also 1. Oh, plus c equals 0. 1 plus 1 is 0. c equals 0. Therefore, our final f of x equation will be e to the x minus cosine of x. Whoop. Move this over so I can get a good view. So we have, it's going to be this bottom answer right there. E to the x minus cosine of x. So to backtrack, what happened here was we were given a derivative. They're like, find the function f of x using its derivative. To go from the derivative to the normal function, we need to take the integral, which we did. E to the x, pretty simple integral, just e to the x. Have to be careful when you're doing trigonometrics, sine of x, cosine of x, because they're opposite of what you do for derivatives. Most of that's just memorizing, or you can work through and find out, okay, this is what the opposite of the derivative was. In this case, we had to know that the integral of sine of x is negative cosine of x. Then when we do the integral, we have to add on a constant, and we use the initial condition we were given, f of 0 equals 0, to plug into our function to determine what c was. We determined what c was. It happened to be 0. And then we found our answer. And that's how we do this problem. Thank you much. See you on the next problem.